I'm just pulling up this note quickly. Okay, now guys, you should remember that we did simple interest on Friday, right? Remember simple interest. Now, hire purchase is basically an application of simple interest. I'll explain now exactly what it is, but you can just write there an application of simple interest. So we're going to practice using that same formula again today. Okay, the simple interest formula. Now, guys, what is important is that for these questions, they probably won't say simple interest in the question, right? They will say hire purchase, or they'll explain the situation so that you know that it's a hire purchase question, and then you have to know that it is simple interest. Okay, again, we've only done the one formula, but tomorrow we'll do the other one. So you do need to know that it's simple interest for hire purchase always. Okay, sorry, this note is just taking long to load. Okay, hire purchase basically is when you buy something on credit. That might sound a bit more familiar. So when you buy an item on credit and pay it back in equal installments. These installments include interest charged on the cash price. And we can just add of the item. Yeah, so guys, this is actually a very realistic kind of situation, all right, where you might want to buy what's the latest thing, a PS5, for example, but you don't have all the cash for the thing. So you buy it on hire purchase. In some cases, you're going to have to pay a deposit, all right, which you will then have to calculate. You'll see when we do examples. Sometimes you don't even have to pay a deposit, all right. You get the PS5, but you have to pay it back over a year, 2 years, 3 years. Every month you must pay a specific amount. Now, guys, you're not just going to pay, what does a PS5 cost now? Do we know? 20,000 Rand. Yo, let's Google it. Actually, now I want to know. 15. Sure. Price, South Africa. Let's see. Yeah, there's one here, 16,645 Rand. Okay, so let's go with 16,000. All right. If you are taking that PS5 home and you're using it, you're not just going to pay the 16,000 Rand back over time. All right. They are actually going to, the shop is going to charge you interest on that 16,000 as well. So the cash price of the item is always less than what you are actually going to pay back after a certain amount of time. Okay, we can do some calculations and see how that works. But does that make sense, guys? Because you're actually almost paying like a fee because they're giving you the product and you haven't actually paid for it, right? Does that make sense? So that's why you're paying interest, because they can't sell this thing to someone else. They've lost the stock, but they haven't actually received the money yet. Okay, so you are always going to pay interest. So that is what I'm saying in the second sentence. These installments include interest charged on the cash price of the item. All right. So we're going to do some examples now so that you can see exactly how they will ask a question and exactly what you would have to do. Let me just get back. I thought I was on this page now, and now I'm not. Okay, examples. Okay, number one. Yeah. Okay, the value of the deposit. That's the first question here. Now, guys, the deposit is always calculated using the cash price. Okay, now the cash price is the cost of the thing. If you had just gone to the shop and you just given them cash and they would have given you the phone. Now, in this case, what is the cash price? 18,000 Rand. Yeah, they call it the cash price because if you actually wanted to go buy it, you would have to give them that amount of money. Okay, so that is the cash price. You can put a little CP there above that. So whenever we talk about the cash price, that is the amount that we're talking about. Okay, the 18,000 Rand. Okay, so a new cell phone costs 18,000 Rand, but you can't afford the cash price. Luckily, the shop offers you a hire purchase agreement whereby you need to pay a 10% deposit. The balance must be paid back in equal monthly installments over 2 years at an interest rate of 12% per annum. Now, guys, this is basically like a contract. Hey, when you get a cell phone contract, you're getting the phone, but whoever is paying an amount every month. That's actually a hire purchase. Okay, it's just not called, they just don't call it that. All right, so the value of the deposit, we need to use this. They're telling us that the deposit is 10%. It's 10% of the cash price. Okay, so we can write that down. 10% of the CP, the cash price. They're not going to tell you that, guys. You need to know that it's 10% of what? Of the cash price. Okay, so when we're doing our actual calculation here, let's just write deposit equals, now 10%, do we agree that that's the same as 10 over 100, right? 10 over 100. And then you multiply that by the actual cash price. Okay, that's how you're always going to calculate your deposit. You take the percent that they give you, the percentage, you write it over 100 because 10% is the same as 10 over 100, right? Then you times it by the cash price. Now, sometimes it's going to be an easy calculation. You can do it in your head, or if not, there's nothing wrong with just, oh, sorry, I see my calculator's in the wrong setting here. 10 over 100 times 18,000, and that is 1,800 Rand. Okay, so that is the amount that this particular shop is requiring you pay up front. So before you can take the phone, you actually have to put that amount down. Okay, that's almost like a bit of an insurance thing. Like if you don't pay the rest of the installments, at least they got 1,800 Rand. Okay, so that is the deposit. Then question B. The value of the outstanding balance. Now, guys, in this case, outstanding means how much you still have to pay, right? The amount that is outstanding, the amount that you still have to pay. So how much you still have to pay. Okay, now the balance. And you can write down a little formula for this that you can memorize if you're not understanding this. There are little formulas for all of these things. So balance is always the cash price minus the deposit. Okay, when you pay that deposit, you are already paying some of the amount of the phone's value. Okay, so what was the cash price in this case again? It was 18,000. And when we pay our deposit, our 1,800 Rand, obviously we're going to owe less. We're not still going to owe 18,000 Rand if we've already paid 1,800. Does that make sense? Okay, and what is that? 16,200. So guys, once you've paid that deposit, you actually only still owe 16,200. Right, you don't still owe 18,000. You've already paid some of that amount. Now, what is important here is that this amount is the amount that they are going to add interest on. All right? You only pay interest on the amount that you still owe. You're not going to pay interest on the deposit because you've paid that already. Okay, so when we are now calculating how much interest we have to pay in the next question, this is the amount that we're going to use. Okay, so let's add a little note there. You only pay interest on this amount. Right, so you must remember that, guys. You're only going to pay interest on the outstanding balance, not on the cash price. If you've paid a deposit, you need to minus that deposit from the cash price, and that will give you the outstanding balance, and that is what you're going to pay interest on. Okay, C. The value of the monthly installments. Now guys, your monthly installments, how many years are we going to use to pay this off? 2 years. How many months are there in 2 years? 24, hey? So we're going to have to take however much money we must pay back in total and divide that by 24. That's going to be our installments. But guys, like I explained already, are we only going to pay back 16,200 Rand? I must add interest to that still, hey? They're going to charge us interest because we're taking the phone without actually giving them all the money. So this 16,200 Rand, we must now use in our simple interest formula. Remember they said here, the balance must be paid back in equal monthly installments over 2 years at an interest rate of 12% per annum. So we need to use our simple interest formula, put 12% interest on the 16,200 Rand, and that is the amount that we actually have to pay back. So that is the amount that we're going to have to divide by 24. Okay, so let's write our formula down. I hope you guys can remember this formula. A equals P bracket 1 plus I times N. For hire purchase, you will always use this formula. Okay, hire purchase is always simple interest. Now, A is the final amount that we must pay back. So the amount for the phone plus the interest. So that's what we're going to calculate. What amount am I going to pay interest on, guys? The cash price or the outstanding balance? The outstanding balance. All right, you only pay interest on this amount. So this becomes your P value. Let's put that here as well. This becomes your P value. All right, your outstanding balance is always your P value, not the cash price. Right, the cash price minus the deposit. Okay, so that becomes your P value, 16,200 Rand. Bracket 1 plus. Now, what is the interest rate that they told us here? 12%. So remember, we used 12 over 100. And how many years are we going to take to pay this back? 2. So we times that by 2. Now we need to calculate that, guys. So we take the calculator and we type that in just as it is, times 2. And we get 20,088 Rand. That's a bit of a jump, hey? But that's how it works with hire purchase, unfortunately. 20,088 Rand. So that is what we're going to pay back in total over the whole 2 years. But they're asking us, what are we going to pay every month? Now there are going to be 24 months, 24 installments. So therefore, monthly installments is equal to, now you take your total amount that you must pay back, the value that we just calculated using our simple interest formula. And now we're going to divide it by 24 because there are 24 months in 2 years. Divided by 24 and we get 837 Rand every month. Okay, that's what we have to pay back every month. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Right, there's one last question which I'm going to have to write on the next page, so you can write D so long. I'm just going to give everyone a chance to finish copying that down. D is the next one. D. So it said calculate. Now we're going to calculate how much money you end up paying for the phone in total. Okay, now how much are we paying off over the 24 months? What was that big total that we divided by 24? 20,088 Rand. But guys, didn't we pay a deposit at the beginning as well? That's also paying for the phone, hey? So we actually have to add that deposit. So let's write the formula. The total is A, the A coming from your simple interest formula, plus the deposit. So we're actually paying more than 20,000 for this phone, all right? Because we have to add the deposit as well. So it was the A value, which is 20,088 Rand, plus that deposit, which remember, we calculated right at the beginning, that was 1,800. So we are actually ending up with 21,888 Rand. That is what we're paying for this phone in total. Almost 22,000 Rand, and it was actually 18,000 Rand, the cash price, eh? That's what happens. Okay, any questions so far, guys? All right, now last question. How much interest you end up paying? Remember what we said on Friday? This phone is worth 18,000 Rand, but in the end, we paid 21,888 Rand. The difference between those two amounts, that is the interest. All right, so let's write a little formula here. We're going to say interest is total amount paid minus the cash price. Right, that's how you can always calculate your interest. So the total amount paid was 21,888 minus the cash price, which was 18,000. And that is actually an amount of 3,888 Rand. Okay, any questions now, guys? Right, there is apparently a worksheet. I just quickly want to see how it looks before I tell you to do it. Okay, yeah, I want you guys to work on this worksheet. I will put it on the board now, but you can just write down hire purchase worksheet. Okay, the worksheet is on Google Classroom. I'll show you now how to get to it. Okay, if you are on the grade 9 maths one, if you go to classwork, there you'll see finance note is right at the top. There is the note, but then here we have a link to the worksheets. And the top one there, that's the one that you guys are doing, hire purchase worksheet. You can see there are some questions. All right, 4 questions. We'll see how far you guys get. I won't get to the end of it, but I'll tell you at the end of this lesson how far you must go for homework. Okay. You just see 1 and 2 can fit on the board at once there. Then I'll move down after a while. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.